So I had a few questions on how I got to where I am and a little bit about my past and how I was able to build my dream house by the time I was 28. Started very early. I grew up on a dairy farm and got taught pretty early that you got to work hard and you got to work for what you want in life. And we had chores, and I had my own chickens, my own responsibles pretty early. I sold the eggs, made money, worked through a few different jobs. I started construction when I was 14, helping to build pole barns and some odds and end jobs, decks and renovations, things like that. But that was only one summer, and he didn't have enough work for me the second summer. So I ended up working in greenhouses for a little bit. Worked at 2 different greenhouses, cucumbers and roses. And then by the time I was 15, I kind of got the itch to start turning wrenches. And I worked in a cucumber greenhouse at the time. And the lady that I worked with had a little 87 GMC Sonoma, and she said her engine was making noise and wondered if our high school where we did our auto program would look at it. And we fixed vehicles for free there, so I said sure. She says, well, the noise is pretty bad, so I'll get it towed there. And the thing really wasn't worth anything. Towed it all the way there. The auto teacher listened to it and said, no, blown engine, threw a rod, get it out of here, we're not doing it. So I felt bad for her. I talked to my boss at the time. The greenhouse was empty because it was January, and he said, you can swap the engine here. So she in turn bought a 87 S10, and I pulled the engine out of it and put it in her truck. After that, it was all itching to keep these automotive things going. I only had 1 semester of auto, but dove in with both feet and pulled the engine out, swapped it, turned the key, it ran, and she was happy, and I was hooked. I got into mechanics and originally because I knew my first big investment would be my vehicle, and if I could fix it myself, I could save some money. I'm Dutch and I got to do things cheaper, and my theory basically all my life has been, if you can do it, I can do it. So I walked into an apprenticeship. I did a co-op through the high school at a heavy equipment shop and walked into an apprenticeship there working on heavy equipment and agricultural equipment. I worked there for 7 years. I got my license. It took 9,000 hour apprenticeship and 3 years of college, going 2 months at a time. And then working for 10 months, that is the apprenticeship, went to Fanshawe College and got my license for heavy equipment. Now, it's kind of a catch-22. You have a license, all that says is that you're qualified to work on it. It doesn't really let you do anything other than tell people that, yes, I graduated. Unlike a truck and coach mechanic, you have a piece of paper that allows you to write safeties, or an automotive technician, which allows you to write safeties for cars. They used to have a program where you could get grandfathered in. You give the government $100, and then you say, well, if you're smart enough to work on truck and coach, then you could pay $100 and get your automotive license, and vice versa, also with heavy equipment. But they stopped that a couple years before I graduated. In my last year of college, before I actually graduated, I found a piece of property that I loved. My uncle was actually selling it. He was moving out of the country, and we had it appraised. I bought it, 4 acres, but with an old decrepit house on it that was vacant for 15 years. I bought that when I was 19. I pulled down a whole bunch of old barns around the neighborhood, used the barn board for trim. I just told them that I'd pull the barn down and take care of that, and they didn't have to look at these ugly barns anymore. I love the barn board look. The stone and the barbecue, we made a video on the stone there. I took all the stone home. I made a little wall around the old house, and I practiced mortaring there so that I knew that I could do some fancy stonework on the new house later. I hope to get 10 years out of it, but we didn't get that far. In that time, when I turned 24, I met my wife and started dating her when I was 24. And the best advice I can do is to marry somebody who has the same aspirations that you do. She was good with her money. She worked very hard. She had some money saved up, so we were able to pay off the mortgage on that original house and property, and soon after drew up the plans for our dream house and shop. So by the time I was 28, I was on my own now. I was self-employed for 4 years, and I thought that right around when I was 24, That was enough of the mechanics. I was getting bored inside the same shop with the same four walls, and it used to be neat splitting a tractor, walking in between, but then it just got boring for me. So I decided overnight almost that I was going to start my own business and that I was going to build my my house and shop in the next 5 years or so. So I figured if I could start a construction company with that little history that I had in construction, that I could get my material costs down and build it myself. And even when I took vacations from the shop, I'd still work for that builder that I did when I was 14, and I'd collect vacation pay from the shop and make a couple of grand during the vacation time as well. So that worked out really well. I started doing roofs, and if you start construction, that's where you start. Get a dump trailer and a truck and start roofing. There's always work and there's decent money in it. Then graduated to decks and a little bit of concrete, and basically did a little bit of everything. By the time I was 28, I was able to get my cost of concrete down. I put up about 30 pole barns around the area. I never built a house before though, so my wife looked at me and said, "How do you know what you're doing with the house?" And I said, don't worry, it's start square and end square. So what I did was I drove through a subdivision and looked at all the different stages of the house builds and figured, well, I can do that. And I saw some of the way they were building it. I'm like, I'm gonna build mine better than that. So we got our plans drawn up. We visited a few houses that we liked. We knocked on the door and said, hey, do you mind if we walk through? What would you do different? What would you do again? And got their opinions on it, found the styles that we liked, and put our own little twists on it. And some of those ended up being good customers that I worked for many times again because I walked through their house the first time, both in construction and mechanics. We had to take out a construction mortgage to build the house and shop, and unfortunately, banks don't give you any money towards outbuildings here in Canada. It's very frustrating. So we were behind probably 40 grand from the day we started because I built the shop first. I figured if we didn't build the shop, then I would never get it done. And the house was never actually finished by the time it still needs some work. We've been here for 9 years now. Still some odds and ends stuff to do. I still have to put stone on the fireplace inside, but we're just playing catch up because I also have quite a bit of money invested into the shop. So I was gonna go big at one point. I was gonna hire a full-time mechanic to run the shop. I was gonna let the construction guy who was working with me take care of the construction end. I was gonna float back and forth. It didn't work out. Things kind of fell through, and I'm glad it didn't. I ended up just working by myself in the shop. I'm glad that it worked out that way. I have a young guy in there once in a while helping me out now. And I'm starting to get busier again on the mechanic side, trying to balance family and work, and then this YouTube thing as well. But we're having a lot of fun doing it. I also met the tape boss there. We'd be a lot farther ahead if I'd stopped dipping my fingers in everything. Tape boss is doing decent, but it comes down to just working really hard, focusing on it, and not really playing that much.
Having it on the shelf, that's pretty awesome. It's right behind the shelf.
I never really had that many toys. I had a boat, but I picked it up cheap with a blown engine, rebuilt it, had some fun with it, got rid of it. Don't have quads, don't have anything fancy really. I always drove crappy vehicles when I was younger, and that allowed me to save up for some nice vehicles now. So my advice to you is, if you're watching this and you're young and you want to aspire to do something like this, you guys have a tough road ahead of you because things are different now, about 20 years later. The rules are a lot different. The mortgages are insane, and the price values of properties are skyrocketing. And I feel bad for you guys, but if you focus and buckle down, it's not impossible, but it is a lot of sacrifices. I never bought anything really. We'd go to trips with our youth group, and my parents would give me $10 for something to eat, and I would stick the $10 in my pocket and starve all day because I knew that there would be supper waiting for me at home, and I would put that $10 away. We'd go to Tim Hortons line and go for coffee, and it would be my turn to say, no, nothing for me, and I'd just sit at the table and not do anything. You guys have to do the same thing. Be mindful of where your money goes out. There's one course that they don't teach in schools that they should, and that's a finance course. Don't make your own coffee. Drink coffee at the shops where they have it in the corner. Don't buy it. Don't smoke. Drink occasionally and for fun, but don't drink a beer every day. It really starts costing. So that's my advice to you. It's not an easy life, but we're having a lot of fun, and I would do it all again the same way. So let us know if you want any more videos like this. So don't mind sharing stuff like this. If you want to talk about Tape Boss and the patent journey and bringing it to market, there's something to be told there too. Some stuff happening in the background that we're just kind of keeping quiet for now. Don't want to say anything until these things are set, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. We have Patreon hangouts once a month. You can ask questions there, or just hit us up on the Boss Garage Facebook group. So thanks for watching. Here we go.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you love the channel, consider picking up a Tape Boss to make those projects go faster so you got more time to watch YouTube. And remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich.